L'Âge d'Or, the Golden Age, that was the second film that he was going to do with Dali, but this time they didn't get along. The ideas of each one, nobody approved them. One would say something, that's very bad. The other one would bring up an idea, that's very bad. And so they didn't, they got a couple of ideas together, and then they separated. Dali was a very timid man, and for example, when he'd come up to Paris, my mother or my aunt would have to take him, if he had to go back to Spain, would have to take him to the train station and put him on the train with his ticket, because he didn't know how to get to the train station, get on the train alone. He was a very timid, strange man. And I think a fantastic painter at that time. And then he met Gala, the woman that took over his life, and that sort of changed him completely, where Breton did a play on words of his, Salvador Dali, A Vida Dólares. And from the 30s on, late 30s on, he was dedicated to making money. And for example, we were in New York during the war, World War II. I don't remember this, of course, because I was little, but I have a letter where my father, we were living in a kitchenette apartment, you know, with the beds that come out of the wall, and you open up a closet and the kitchen's in there. And my father needed $50 to pay for the rent. And Dali was staying, I think, at the Pierre Hotel in the super suite. And my father, who was his best friend, they were friends, asked him, please lend me $50 and I'll pay you back next week, but I have to pay the rent. And Dali's answer, I have a letter, saying, no, you don't lend money to friends. It's not a good idea. And it's good that Franco won the war. Franco's fascists, who had assassinated Dali's best friend, which is Garcia Lorca, several years before. And Dali really went completely on the other side. Who saved us then was Alexander Calder, we went to live with him for a couple of months until my father could get a job with the Museum of Modern Art. And one of his first works was to take The Triumph of the Will of Leni Riefenstahl. It was an hour-and-a-half film, and chop it down to a half-an-hour film so that it could be shown to the members of the United States government. So he spent, I think, many months on cutting it down, getting the essentials of the film. And eventually, Dali denounced my father as being an atheist and a communist, where he was asked to resign from the Museum of Modern Art. So then we moved to California, where he worked at Warner Brothers, dubbing films into Spanish. Years later, I had an art show, a sculpture show in New York, and in the back room, at lunch, I used to make a big salad, and we get some cheese and a bottle of wine, and Sandy Calder and Miro would come for lunch. And one day Miro came in and said, I was walking across Central Park, and this big Cadillac stopped behind me, and guess who got out? It was Dali. Miro had been Dali's friend, and who had helped him get his first shows here in Paris. And when he saw Dali and what Dali had done, he turned his back on him and left him, and Dali was left. And Dali died eventually, years later, surrounded by vultures, people who had him signing just blank pieces of paper. And he was full of tubes and all that, and we were with some friends. One of Dali's old friends, he said, poor Salvador, he doesn't have any friends to take the tubes out of his mouth and let him die with dignity. And Dali died surrounded by vultures. But he died, he chose to go that way. He dropped all his friends to go out with people that would bring him money.